Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Byron Douglas. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have Mitch and Casey in a moment in our all streaming program each weekday at 8:30. And we're on all platforms. We have an additional heat advisory. I think with additional bands of showers and thunderstorms on Saturday and Sunday, hopefully will preclude any additional heat advisories, but probably would see some additional ones as we go into next week. We're looking at a heat index generally 102 to 108. Could go up as high as 110 as we go into the afternoon. And we're on our Facebook. If you have some comments, questions about your weekend, or if you're visiting or traveling or on vacation, want to just check in, we welcome you to do that. And about 1 o'clock this morning, National Weather Service came down with a heat advisory. We were a little uncertain what they would do with Friday, but it's on the board. The excessive heat warnings are out covering the St. Louis area. All of our cities and towns, the highest heat indices generally from about lunchtime into about 6, 7 o'clock this evening, which we'll cover here in a moment. The heat index forecast. This just updated, so along with our 14 First Alert weather app, generally up to 106, 107 during the afternoon, down maybe just a degree or two from yesterday. We have the heat index at 10. If you head out to the Vanderbilt County Fair, this will be the coolest part of the day until 10. Or if you want to wait until after sundown at 8 p.m., some easing during that time frame. And let's keep in mind, we do have a flooding threat for this afternoon. Now, this happened a few times here in the month of July where we only have a 15-20% chance of isolated thunderstorms, but we also have a flooding threat. So most of the viewing area won't see a whole lot. We have dried out for the most part the past couple days. I'll take this full in a moment. We'll also check in with the Storm Prediction Center. This is a level 1 threat for some isolated flash flooding as we go through generally this afternoon through tonight. We'll do some nowcasting here in a moment. Now on Doppler radar, all the lightning so far has been outside the viewing area, so we'll make a few stops. We had a little bit of lightning earlier as you get up into Greene County to about Bloomfield, north of Odin and Davies County along Highway 58 and 231, south there of the courthouse in Bloomfield. A shower, then up towards Martinsville, south of Indianapolis, a little shower, kind of just to the west there of Interstate 69. And generally all the lightning is out through about Hannibal, Missouri, Quincy, Illinois. I kind of just drew the blue arrows there indicate where that front is. On the almanac page, headed for 95. Of course, I'm going to have more coming up at 14 News, along with Arden Gregory, on the weather history concerning this date. But we have record highs from 103 set in 2012, and also we tied with 1934, which were sweltering summers. If you want to feel cooler, on this date in 2004, we had a little bit of rain, and we had a high of only 69 degrees. That's kind of hard to do, to go that low, but we did go low with that 56 for a record low in 2000. Let's take a look at our current temps. 83 at Evansville, 80 in Henderson, 81 in Fairfield at this hour. So we're dealing with some showers out there. The best chance would be as we go into the afternoon hours during that time frame. The best setup for some showers during the afternoon, which we'll highlight in a moment. And then on the muggy meter, it looks like this. We're at 74, so we got some pretty good dew points already. That's about where we were here early this morning with those dew points. Generally stretching in the low to mid 70s during that time frame. Now the risk for thunderstorms, some isolated thunderstorms are possible, but those threats are generally from Indy, Chicago, and they have moved it a little bit now, is north of St. Louis for your Friday afternoon. And that's pretty much where we're going to stay situated for both Saturday and Sunday. The threats for severe weather will be outside of our area. This is from the Climate Prediction Center. I'm going to show you a couple of outlooks. This is a 6 and 10-day outlook. So you see the lines streaking across the area. So generally we're going to see a pattern change. So we're easing now. This was a sea of red here for most of July, where we were solidly above normal. And look at this blue now. It extends down into about Huntsville, Alabama, solidly below normal. And we'll start to notice this on the final day of July, next Thursday, into the first week of August, perhaps to about August 9th or 10th. This is what's we're going to guide below normal temperature-wise. This is an outlook. It's not a locked-in forecast overall. So I'll take this full here. As we Go hour by hour. Now let me get a sip of coffee here and hydrate with some coffee. Low to mid 90s as we go to the afternoon. You know, where I didn't speak, that part of the forecast, well, I can pretty much lock in would be correct. Low to mid 90s as we go into the afternoon hours during that stretch. So as we go hour by hour, this is where we start to see a few showers, a few isolated thunderstorms flare as we go into the afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock, about 20% coverage across the viewing area. And then as we go into Saturday, I think a little better setup for showers and storms as we go into the afternoon. Not widespread severe weather. And the storms will kind of behave where they work from the southwest to the northeast, most of them. Can't rule out a severe thunderstorm warning or two, but I think most would set up outside the viewing area as we go through our Saturday. And Saturday, and pretty much in line with Sunday, the severe weather threats are Indy, Chicago, north of St. Louis. Why they work in the same areas up through about Cleveland is because that's where that stalled front, and then figuring in a little bit of outflow during those areas where that's the best setup for a few thunderstorms, but not widespread severe weather. This is well into the future. I just threw in the European model as we go along here. This is next Thursday and Friday. Notice the winds will be out of the northeast coming off the Great Lakes. So we're going to be dipping below average, which I'll show you here in the 7-day forecast, even into that first weekend. Boy, if you have plans for that first weekend in August. Now, can't pin down generally how much rain we could see or the opportunities for some showers. However, we're going to be cooler than average, and then you can see that next Wednesday, that's our last alert day for right now. And then as we go into Thursday, highs generally would be in the mid 80s during that stretch. That would be it for a high temperature, high of 85, and that would extend into next weekend overall. So just absorb that 7-day forecast. We'll be dropping below normal. Our average high is at 89. Our average low is at 69. All right, a few comments. I'll take this full. Then we'll have Casey and Mitch in a moment. Lacey, good morning to you. Jeff Miller over in Sava. He's ready for fall. And all right, good morning to you there, Libby. Susan, good morning to you. We guys appreciate you guys tuning in on the stream. I'm going to make sure real quickly if we had any questions or anything like that. So I do appreciate the comments out there. And Mitch, Casey here. They're getting ready to push me off the stage here. Yeah. Everybody have a super weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, July 25th.
That's right. I'm Mitch Carter.
I'm Casey Mason. You know the
go.
drill. We're here now for our portion of the show. Of course,
right.
we know the main act is Byron Douglas. Usually Byron, they have the warm-up first and then the main show, but it's opposite in this case. That got a laugh. I do for a Friday. We're all in a good mood. It's Friday here. Okay, so we're going to start off with a couple of headlines we wanted to bring you from this morning's show. Let's kick it off with some. The police are needing a little help from you. Let me pull up this picture here.
Yeah.
There we go.
So new this morning from Warwick County there, you see the photo on your screen. Deputies need your help finding a hit-and-run suspect. Authorities say it happened around 11 o'clock on Sunday. That was July 13th on State Road 662 near Stacer Road. Deputies say the car there pictured on your screen left the scene of an accident, and they say after the crash, the car then continues west towards Vanderburgh County, so anybody with information whatsoever is asked to please call the Warwick County Sheriff's Office.
That's right. And of course, we had that on the morning show this morning on our live news program, but we wanted to bring you that here today in case you missed it, so maybe you can provide some insight and some help there. Moving over to a happier story now, we do have some exciting news for our friends up in Gibson County. There are new duplexes in Oakland City that are underway right now, and the mayor tells us it's actually, get this, Mitch, this is the first new construction project that they've had in 40 years.
That
That's
is
really
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Good for them. Well, they held a ribbon cutting ceremony yesterday at what they're calling the Oakland Gardens neighborhood, and that's going to be near the intersection of State Road 57 and Main Street. Officials say the project actually took more than 4 years to complete since they started planning this. The neighborhood features both two-story and ranch-style duplexes ranging from about 1,200 to around 1,400 square feet. Now, in total, they say 24 new units will be available when it's all said and
For a
done.
project this size, it's been over 40 years since we've had something this size in Oakland City. This is a huge step up for us, and like I said, it gives us the momentum to keep moving forward.
Well, now officials say that crews are still working to start water and electrical services there. They do expect tenants to move in around early September. So that's exciting news out of Gibson County.
And
this
you know,
morning.
they've got a Toyota up there and all that. Always the need for more housing, so good for them getting those up and running there. Should be neat. Those look pretty nice. They're
Yeah,
new
that's
builds,
right.
so we'll see.
You know, when I moved back to the area a couple years ago, I was driving through Princeton, which I'm born and raised from Princeton, Indiana, and they've done so much, you know, to the square up there and some of the parts of the neighborhood. I noticed that they had just a brand new library. I was like, when did that
nice.
happen? My
Yeah.
family's like, it's been a couple years, Casey, but you know, we love to see improvements, and especially in our communities that have a special spot in our heart here. It's
No
good
doubt.
to be back home, that's for sure. So we are talking Friday.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
here.
So shifting gears now, heading south now into Owensboro. We talk about it every week here. We have the fabulous Gabby Knighton with us in the morning. She was here this morning as well. We've got some news for you here out of Friday After 5. Here's a schedule. Here's what to expect. So starting at 5 o'clock, the Kroger Street Fair opens up on Veterans Boulevard. At 6:05, you can rock out with U-Turn there on the Overlook stage. Then at 7 o'clock, Ashland Craft performs with special guests Dan Hall and Haley Payne. All that on the main stage there at McConnell Plaza.
Yeah, lots of fun. Of course, you know, Gabby, if you didn't catch her on this morning's live news, Gabby's fantastic. We usually have her on just about every Friday, but they had some weather issues the past couple weeks, so we're glad to see that event back up and running. Oh my gosh, I had a blast at it too. Even despite how hot it is right now, they take good care of you there. I think she mentioned they're going to have like free water that they're going to be handing out, so you'll be in good hands there. It's a well put on event, and again, we got to go watch my dad's band play a couple weeks ago, and I'd never been, and I can't wait to go back next summer if I don't already go again this summer for another Friday.
There's only 2 chances left, so if you want to
that's it.
go, now's the time. And she was very excited about the talent tonight, said it should be really good. So.
And hey, speaking of things that you may be running out of time to attend, if you want to check it out, the Vanderburgh County Fair. I want to remind you guys that the last day for that is going to be this Saturday. I believe Ashley Cook is going to be hitting the stage.
I think you're correct, yes.
Country music artist. Yeah. So Ashley will put on a great show. And just, you know, Saturday's the last day for that event if you want to go check it out for some family fair fun.
There
Try
you
to
go.
say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, right. Family fair.
Yeah. So, okay, before we head out of here, let's talk about just a couple of fun topics. I know that Marvel's First Family, they are returning to the big screen. Fantastic Four is going to hit theaters.
That's right.
Dropping today, guys. A lot of folks that work here are
Big
going
fans.
to go see
yeah,
that.
we've got a lot of our producers in the TMP room back there,
Yeah.
technical media stuff. Those guys are excited about the Fantastic
Yes.
Four, so should be good. And then speaking of other top headlines here, obviously it's some sadder headlines. We've had a lot happen this
Yeah.
week in particular. Of course, Hulk Hogan just passed away yesterday. We know Ozzy Osbourne died, Malcolm Jamal Warner, and jazz artist Chuck Mangione. A lot of big time names kind of passing away
I
very, very
know.
rapidly.
It's wild. A friend and I were talking, meteorologist Arden Gregory and I were talking about, she goes, you know, it's interesting. It seems like it comes in waves of 3
they
with
always say,
celebrity
yeah.
deaths. And I was like, and this week they hit us with 4. So obviously sad to share, but that is something, unless you've been under a rock the past couple of days, huge headlines there from, you know, again, music to wrestling to, you know, TV show there. It's been wild. So
Certainly has,
we
yeah.
definitely had to report those this week.
No doubt.
On some lighter note, though, before we head out of here, we always like to end it on a happy note. Excited for the weekend, Mitch? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. Mostly keeping an eye on Byron Douglas in here with us right now. Hopefully seeing some relief here coming soon. I know he mentioned in the future, next week, hopefully winding down to some 80s versus 90s, which is great with heat indices that aren't in the triple digits. That'd be great. And then also mentioned some, for us, especially getting up as early as we do, some morning temps in the 50s coming up potentially. I know he said he didn't want to overpromise, but that would be fantastic.
I said, are we going to need our winter jackets after all this heat? It's going to feel freezing when we reach the 80s. So, well, before we go here, we want to shout out and say hi to everybody that's taking the time to comment. Lacey Martin says, good morning. Talked a little bit about the storm sirens there in Princeton. Jeff Miller says, I'm ready for fall. Jeff, same. That's my favorite season. Yeah. So, and hey, the pumpkin spice latte coming back in August. Stand by. Of course, Libby, good morning. Susan, good morning. Lacey Martin, good morning. She's talking about the sinkhole in Evansville. It needs to be an investigative TV story. We'll have to pull some strings and make some calls. I know that has just been an ongoing saga here we've been reporting on, causing lots of issues. Of course, everybody saying good morning. And Byron Douglas, good morning. Have a super weekend. You too, sir.
Thank you, Byron.
Too, Byron. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's streaming show.
Right now, it's 8:46 here, about 8:45 It's going to do it for us here this morning. Of course, we'll be back with you bright and early on Monday. Please enjoy your Friday and your weekend out there. Watch out for some of those potential scattered pop-up storms out there. But the most issue we're seeing, obviously, is the heat. We've talked about it here. I don't need to say anything else. You guys know. It's hot. It's summertime. You've lived enough on this earth. Drink water, do all that good stuff. And we'll enjoy our weekends, and we'll see you back here bright and early on Monday morning.
We sure will. You guys take care. Have a fantastic weekend. See y'all next week. And get the graphic, Casey. There we go. See you guys.